Welcome back to the Red Sofa here at Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Digital Strategies. And as you can see, I'm joined by two special guests who've just presented on the digital transformation happening at Volkswagen Chattanooga. Paulo Monteiro, who's leading logistics for Volkswagen at the plant, and Travis Hodge, manager of production control. And as we'll talk about, one of Paulo's whiz kids in an important project. So that's where I want to kind of start. You both presented on the way you've been able to transform many operations and processes through digitalization that was already kind of at your fingertips in some way, right? Largely within a suite of cloud. But the key ingredient was pulling the right people together to do it. Paulo, tell us a little bit about the inspiration of this project and what is achieved.
Like I referred on my presentation, I actually got the motivation from the fact that attending some of these conferences from automotive logistics, it's a recurrent topic, always talking about digitalization, and lately is actually a very modern topic of discussion talking about AI. Okay? And in a moment that a lot of the organizations that attend these conferences are still Excel based, it's kind of an overstatement to keep reaching the AI. So 1 year ago, I had the opportunity to read actually an interesting book about the most influential man on the automotive industry. And I got to know the story of Henry Ford II. And I understood that this guy had the opportunity of actually President Roosevelt brought him back to manage Ford, and he had the opportunity to initiate a revolution and to modernize Ford. For that, he grabbed this group of talent ex-officials from the army, and he basically gave them the opportunity, the freedom to execute the same model that they developed for the American army that successfully helped us to win the war, and to bring that new system, that knowledge into the Ford Corporation. So then I thought to myself, today the challenge is still the same. I need to find within my organization a couple of bright guys, which I have many, that can help to start this revolution. Yeah, that's how I got my inspiration. So we look around. I've got 6 departments. I ask myself and the managers that I lead who would be the right people to be basically on this core group. And from that moment onwards, it's been just exponential. It's been actually a revolution. Brutal, fantastic.
Yeah. And as you showed on stage, we're talking automation of many processes, saving a lot of time, using tools like Power BI, Power Automate, and other things. Travis, as alluded to, you are indeed one of the whiz kids behind the project. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to be part of that, and some of the key areas you've been focusing on.
Right. So as production control manager, I have a lot of responsibilities from a program standpoint or responsibility for IT department or systems within the production in the Chattanooga plant. So it's a really easy, I'll say, step for me to go from our production standpoint with IT systems and governing those, and also helping with rollouts, to when Paulo comes and asks for some help on how do we digitize a lot of our logistics processes. It's a copy and paste type scenario where we can do things in production and in logistics as a whole. So overall, just I'll say background knowledge for myself of understanding some of the processes that we implement in production, as well in logistics, and also some of the issues that we've seen over the years. I've had my hands on those as well, so being able to see both sides of it and then implement some of the successes and processes that change those inconsistencies that we've had over the years.
Yeah, and you gave some great examples on stage, so maybe I'll just ask you to also share with our audience. What are 1 or 2 key examples of, be it a process or a step or a data source, et cetera, that you've been able to transform through this initiative?
The interesting of this revolution, this data revolution, is that we were able to engage the entire organization. So every single of my departments, they went into a whiteboard. They laid down every single process that up to the last year was basically manual or Excel based, and that was not automatized. And they listed based on the tools that are available these days, which the team didn't knew at the time: Power Automate, Power BI, MS Forms, Power Apps. And we started to identify those processes from scratch. Today we talked about, AI. We defined a strategy which was basically a centralization of our main points of data. So we create a SharePoint based data lake where we basically get all the information that we get. With the support from our IT department, actually, we are now getting some of the sources from some of our core systems from Volkswagen that we can have our hands on, legacy systems. Mm-hmm. And each one of my guys basically, with a lot of research, was able to develop his own set of skills that then allowed this digitalization to happen. That was the first part of the business. The second part was, once we got this centralized and we got the respective licenses facilitated by our IT colleagues, then they started to work on it. But then I can't make a revolution with 6 people. That doesn't work. So the next step was to create some kind of knowledge sharing. I can't wait on peer-to-peer that people will feel the curiosity on their own to go and approach Travis or one of the other guys, which are more inclined for these digital tools. So we created some weekly meetings, which are totally volunteer, but where these guys started to show each one of these processes that they digitalized. So you name it, from in-house on the good receipt process, material handling, repairs, accident reporting, from the supply chain part, the generation of the ERP calculations to be optimized, to be sent to the suppliers through ADI. Evolution of suppliers, I don't know, you name it, have been 80 different processes that in a single year we digitalized. Yeah.
Yeah, really dramatic. So, and Travis, obviously many of those I'm sure were in production control, and others. Any specific examples you'd cite?
I would say a lot of our dashboards, that's been a real help for us throughout the year. Just having the understanding of what's going on in the operation, the data on the back end, and kind of like we talked about earlier, it's not that you want to overwhelm someone with data. It's you want to have the data needed to make the right decisions at that time. But a lot of those dashboards, I'll say, have saved administrative task time that's really been able to be put forward at a better strategic area or a problem-solving type situation.
Absolutely. And Paulo, you made the point on stage. I mean, this is important in both the efficiency of the team, but also the career development and upskilling of these teams. Was how much of a motivating factor do you think that has been to really push this across your organization?
Yeah, I'm completely humble to see. I'm just give you an example. Due to the nature of the business, I have a material planner in second shift. Yeah. She's basically handling all the emergencies or stuff, follow-up of expedites and all that good stuff. And I've been challenging her for a while for her to try to adapt herself and learn some of these tools. What was a big surprise a couple of weeks ago when she came to me and she showed me her first Power BI database that she migrated from a small database in Excel that she had. So people, for me, it's like people are around the pool, and I've got a couple of guys inside of the pool, 5 or 6 of them, which are very comfortable, and they said, "Oh, come on in, the water is awesome." But then all the other ones are just with their feet like, "Nah, it seems that it's too cold, the water." And finally, one by one, they start to try And once they start to try and they start to see how comfortable it could be, it's no different from when you learn Excel or PowerPoint back in the day. This is just one more set of tools that can make your work easier. So yes, the team has globally embraced it. Some people do not have that natural appetence, which is okay. They still benefit because some of the process of automation that is made by these guys helps them out in reducing their workload from an administrative point of view and become more efficient. So I think it's very positive. But what I would like to finish up by saying, Chris, is the following. As we tend so much to talk about strategy and strategy planning, my goal is quite simple. I want, first off, we want to have centralized data, as some of our systems are legacy systems, some of them with 30, 40 years. We needed to create the connectors in order that I could do my dashboards and my automations. But the most important thing is the standardization of the data. Because if you want to then in the future generate AI tools, the data has to be already standardized. And that's the next step. So we are now on this revolution in the step where we made our current processes much more efficient. The next step is using the accumulation of that data in every part of my business, from in-house, logistics planning, etc., to basically do generative models and do optimizations out of there.
Absolutely. So there's a foundational work to take some of those steps.
Bedrock, you call it.
Yeah, the digital bedrock, indeed. And Travis, just from your point of view, are you already kind of thinking about or starting to pilot or experiment with some of these kinds of areas, be it within Copilot or whatever kind of tools, as Paulo said, to use this data that way?
Yeah, I think it's, Paulo brought a good point, the agentic AI, to where you can basically give the agent or create an agent to where you can give them the data, you can then prompt them and just put it on top of that database that we've already built. I think that's the biggest and closest thing that we're going to be able to get to here in the next months to years. That's where we will really push towards, so that we can introduce that and then also see, like Paulo mentioned, the feedback from the people. You still have to continue to push the people, to encourage the people to use those tools. So it's an opportunity in the next 6 to 8 months to use those, but then to also drive that curiosity to learn those agentic tools and AI overall.
It's a great place to finish that point of discussion. Thank you both so much for sharing. It's an inspiring story and a practical one. It really shows what can be done right at your fingertips. I do have a bonus question though for those who stick around, which is, we refer to Paulo as the Cristiano Ronaldo of the automotive logistics space. So it wouldn't be proper for me to ask you who's going to win the World Cup.
Not England.
That's painful, right through the heart. Travis?
I want to say USA, but I'm not so sure on that one.
So we have not England, not USA. That only means one left, Portugal. So put your bets, and we'll see where it goes from there. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll track that journey as well as the AI one to come.